You mentioned early on that in your founders agreement, you guys put together a charitable aspect of the company, because you look back at the 1-1-1 model that was used by Salesforce. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, in what drove it?
Yeah, well, we were both inspired by Salesforce and how they changed charitable giving in the corporate space by forming the Salesforce Foundation, by committing and sharing the 1-1-1 model, where they're committed to donating 1% of their product, 1% of their people's time, their employees' time, and 1% of their profits to charity. It funded the Salesforce Foundation, and it really changed charitable giving and the way companies think about charitable giving. So we were really inspired by that. You know, I lived in San Francisco for a long time and went to Dreamforce as, one of the big events every year in San Francisco is Salesforce's Dreamforce conference. And they always, it was such a great event, and it is a great event because they didn't just talk about their product. They also brought in people who are an inspiration to other founders, because, a lot of entrepreneurs use Salesforce. They brought in people who are inspirational. Tony Robbins came and talked one year, and it's just a high energy event. And they brought in the charities that have transformed the world with the Salesforce Foundation. And so that was a big inspiration to us.
Yeah.
So when we started Crewchief, we wanted to make sure the operating agreement included the Salesforce model. So there are a lot of great aviation charities. We will be donating 1% of the product we sell to aviation charities. Honestly, probably more than that. But as we sell product, we'll set aside at least that 1% and donate that to aviation charities so they can have their planes on our system. And 1% of our employees' time. Now, we don't have employees yet. We have a development team, we have a customer team, but none of them are employees yet. But we will be donating 1% of our employees' time to charitable organizations, and 1% of our profits will go to charity. So that's important to us. Aviation is a great place, to contribute in charities. There's a lot of good organizations that do, rescue flights, search and rescue, medical, flying people with different conditions and cancer to medical appointments, especially from remote communities, doing animal rescue. There are really lots of good stuff that pilots do in the world. And we're excited to be able to contribute to that.
I love and I appreciate that you guys are doing that, because nothing speaks to me more than entrepreneurs building great things, doing great things, but having an aspect of altruism to it. And I know you and I are both members of the SIL organization, Strategic Introduction League, Chris Johnson runs, which is altruistic, humble, and hungry. And that really speaks to me, especially with my other business where we do a growing through giving model. Because I think it's so important that, yes, you can be a capitalist, but you can give back and you can contribute to your local economy, the national economy, or even different aspects, niche groups that are doing great things, like you said, the rescue aspects and charters and like that. So thank you for taking that time during the planning process to build that into your system. I hope more and more people do that over time here.
And again, we talked earlier about talking these things through before you found the company.
Yeah.
And I think having that be part of your operating agreement and your founding documents is something every entrepreneur should think about, because it's one of these things where, Chris Johnson and SIL, which you mentioned, great organization, because they talk about combining opportunity and altruism.
Yes.
And, one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur, and one of the things that's inspired me, is people have become entrepreneurs because they want to have a bigger impact, because they want to do things that are going to do good in the world. And, Mark Benioff is an example of that with Salesforce. Peter Diamandis is an example of that with his companies and the X Prize Foundation. And so, think about that, because not only can you do good, but it can boost your business as well, because when you give, you also receive. That's the way the world works, in my opinion. You give first and you receive second.
If you want to recommend somebody to appear on the podcast as a guest, please email us at info@opsqc.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a podcast, please reach out to us at the same email. We'd love to have your support.